Hey everybody, welcome back to BK's Bullets. Today we're looking at B.P.R.D. Omnibus Volume 1. Hey everybody, welcome back to BK's Bullets. As always, I'm your host, Brent, and today we're taking a look at the B.P.R.D. Omnibus Volume 1. Now, Omnibus. This doesn't look like an omnibus. This is a soft cover. Well, you'd be right. This is the new line of the Dark Horse Omnibus soft covers. This is an original Hellboy trade paperback, Right-Handed Doom, so you can see they're the same size. I guess it's more in line of the Hellboy omnibuses they've been putting out, Omnibus Volume 3, but it's a soft cover, which I quite like, honestly. For my regular size bookshelves, these fit a lot nicer, and they're a lot less expensive. So, what is this, Brent? I've seen B.P.R.D. before. I've seen they had two other sets of omnibuses. What is this? Well, this is a new line, basically recollecting some of the things you've seen before. It is $29.99 US, so that's kind of a nice price for all this stuff. And from what I have figured out, this is not quite what the Plague of Frogs Volume 1 collects. It has maybe a little bit less than that, but a majority of it is the same. So maybe they're changing the way some of the stuff is collected here in the B.P.R.D. storyline. So it says over here, this collects B.P.R.D. Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3, Plague of Frogs, as well as Abe Sapien vs. Science, Abe Sapien Drums of the Dead, and other stories from Dark Horse Extra. So what does that mean if this is Omnibus Volume 1? Well, I believe, and I checked on Comixology just to kind of compare, they're talking about B.P.R.D. Volume 1, 2, and 3 as their original trade paperbacks are here. So if you have an old trade paperback that says B.P.R.D. Volume 1 with those story titles, that is what this collects. So I'm guessing they're going to do 3 or 4 trade paperbacks at a time. There's an Omnibus Volume 2 that is solicited, as well as 3, all coming out, I think, by March of next year. So they're coming fast and a few in between. So that is nice. So here's everything that's inside. Hollow Earth, Dark Horse Extra, Abe Sapien vs. Science, Drums of the Dead, Soul of Venice, Dark Waters, Night Train, Something Under My Bed, Another Day at the Office, Plague of Frogs, and a sketchbook. Now, I did have the Plague of Frogs Volume 1, like Omnibus, also collected. I had it in my Comixology account, so I opened that up. I downloaded and opened it up just to kind of look at it, and it mostly seems to be the same. I think there's one other story in that one that is not included in here, but it looks to be like a short story, maybe 12 pages or so. But all of the sketchbook materials that are in the back of that Plague of Frogs collection are in here as well, and it does end basically on the same page. So let's take a look at this. This has a host of creators in here. Look at all the stories. Mike Mignola, Christopher Golden, Tom Signoski, Brian McDonald, art by Mike Mignola, Ryan Sook, Curtis Palmer, Michael Dell Smith, Derek Thompson, Michael Avon Oeming, Scott Collins, Cameron Stewart, just tons and tons of people. Jeff Johns, Scott Collins, all sorts of stuff in here. Guy Davis, who I think becomes the main heavy lifter on B.P.R.D. So I like Hellboy. I have his trades. Like I have the regular trades of, I don't think it's all the way through Volume 8, which kind of overlaps with the Wild Hunt omnibus I have. So I picked up Wild Hunt and Hellboy to Hell because I was kind of leaving off there. But this is something I've never read. So I've liked the characters. I've never read B.P.R.D. Hellboy does appear in some of these stories, as you can see. But I believe that the setup was Hellboy quit the B.P.R.D. at some point in time and left to go on his own adventures. And this is the continuation of the B.P.R.D. stories here. So you get Liz, you get Lobster Johnson. He's like a flashback character, I believe. Jeff John, Scott Collins, of course, doing this. You got Abe Sapien, you got Roger the Homunculus, and the origins of most of those characters can be found in the regular Hellboy stories. So I think if you're familiar with the movies, maybe you could read this, but if you really want like the true reading order or something like that, there are some on YouTube. I know Omar Valdivieso on Near Mint Condition has done one that's fantastic. But I think you kind of start with Hellboy Volume 1, and you go up to the point where he quits the BPRD, and then you can come to this volume here. So I just want to showcase this volume a little bit and say what it collects, because I was looking on YouTube the other day to see if anybody had done anything on it, because it came out like a week ago and nobody had done an overview of it. So having not read anything in here, I can't speak to the quality of the storytelling. I can only flip through it and say the art looks pretty good. The coloring is fantastic. The presentation is nice too. It's got this, it's like a thick kind of matte paper. It's not super glossy, which is really nice. So it's kind of in line with every other Hellboy Dark Horse book you've ever held in your hands. I feel like this is the same type of paper on these older trade paperbacks from, I don't know, 10 years ago. It feels exactly the same. So if you've ever held a Hellboy trade in your hands before, this feels pretty dang similar. Just wonderful. So they got the covers in here, Plague of Frogs, volume chapter 1, and they have who's writing it, who's drawing it, you know, that kind of stuff. Colors by Dave Stewart, phenomenal. So this is kind of like a big chapter here. So this is the last storyline here. So this, I'm willing to bet this was the cover to the first trade paper, or the volume 3 trade paperback of BPRD that they said is collected in here. So this could be a little bit of fun. So I'm looking forward to reading this at some point in time. I'm not sure how fast I'm going to jump through it. I really haven't read Hellboy in a long time. So I want to go back to volume 1 and start there and kind of do a series on it. And we'll jump into BPRD, I think, then when that time comes. But really nice presentation. So I think the nice thing about this is the other omnibuses, the hardcover, soft covers, whatever, the ones that were labeled Plague of Frogs and Hell on Earth, I have not seen those, like not in a long time. I've seen them on other people's shelves, but I have not seen them in shops. So if they're going to reprint this ever more as BPRD Omnibus Volume 1, and if they're going to do 9 or 10 volumes of BPRD, the way they did 4, 5, or 6 volumes of Hellboy, this is a new way to jump in, and I would jump in now while they're in print, honestly. If you've never read BPRD or you're looking to upgrade, this is probably a nice little way to upgrade. And for $30 for 3 volumes is not bad, you know, in terms of like what you're getting in here. I think it's like almost 500 pages. I don't know if there's page numbers on here or not yet. 391. Okay, so it's almost 400 pages or so. So that is really cool. So I don't know. I'm going to jump in with these volumes. They're nicely labeled 1, 2, and 3 so far that have been solicited. I found them on Amazon pretty easy. And this one is shipping right now. So go and check out BPRD. Let me know if I'm in for some good stories down in the comments below if you've read it. And we will see you guys next time here in the Funny Pages.